Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who teach and rule well. And Shalom to the elect out there pushing this truth in all sincerity. And Lord willing, we'll be of that number. This is your brother Tabalia, Yaquada, coming at you with a quick lesson, Lord willing. It's edifying to an elect member out there. Just getting into Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right. This is Revelation 13 and 1. The title of it is "The Two Beasts That I Have in My Sword." It says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea." This is John the Revelator. He was. If we can get a little bit on John Revelator, he was sentenced to the Isle of Patmos, which is basically salt mines, by Domitian, the younger brother of Titus, and son of Vespasian. All right. So this was the territory of the Greeks. This is roughly late 80 to 90 A.D. All right. He was about 90 to 100 years old. All right. So this is John, St. John the Revelator. All right. Having a vision on Esau, and his power structure, okay? But it's all very symbolic, and it's very kind of, hey, the Lord got to be dealing with you and supping with you in order for you to, in order for your eyes to see it. So it says here, and I stood upon the Revelation 13 and 1, I stood upon the sand of the sea. The sea is speaking of the people. And we go to Revelation 17 and verse 15. It says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Okay. So also, if you go to Revelation 17 and 1, it says, and there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. That great whore is America, which is Babylon the Great. That many waters is also speaking of people. America is seen as the great melting pot. Okay, but back to Revelation 13. Continuing on, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. 7 heads is referring to the Greeks, the British, the Romans, the French, Spain, Germania Major and Germania Minor. All right. It says, and 10 horns. The 10 horns is going into, let's see if we can get them real quick. Bear with me. All right, the 10 horns: Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Greece, Spain, England, and West Germany. All right. It's the 10 horns. So now, those 10 horns are referring to referring to NATO and the EU. All right, those 10 horns are vassal states, meaning they're pretty much like a middle class. Above vassals, you have the overlords, and below vassals, you have the serfs. Okay. So, continuing on, and upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. Blasphemy is speaking against the Lord, man. Propping yourself up as the Most High's people. In the Renaissance era, Esau Edom painted all the angels white. He depicted the Savior as a so-called white man. So this is blasphemy. This is an example of blasphemy. All right. Moving on, Revelation 13:2, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. That leopard is the Greek Empire. All right. Alexander the Greek was symbolized as the leopard because he conquered so swiftly. A leopard is a swift, fast animal. All right. It reads, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. That feet, it says, and his feet, the feet represents the end of something. So this is kind of, when you're looking at this beast, it's kind of like the statue, all right, spoken of in Daniel. It's kind of showing a dispensation of time. So when you're looking at the feet of something, or anything really for that matter, like in the statue, the feet of clay, miry clay, is representing the end of Esau's kingdom. All right. In this beast, this is very similar. The feet of this beast will continue. It says, whereas the feet of a bear. That bear represents who? The Russians. When you go into Ezekiel 38:3, we'll grab it real quick. It says, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog. Gog is Russia, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So this is talking about how Gog, when it's speaking of putting hooks into the jaws, when you, like, say for instance, if you're an angler and you happen to land a fish or hook a fish, you control that fish by the hook. So this is what the Most High is speaking of the Most High controlling the Russians and having them, it says, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, man. So as you can see right now, we got the BRICS nation. You got the British, or Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And then you got a slew of other nations that are basically put their application in to try to be down, man. So this is a great alliance that's happening right before our eyes, man. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, man. You know, it says Ezekiel 38:4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company of bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Oh, it goes into 38:5, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, and you know Russia's all up in Africa. Like the latest thing I heard is that they're wiping away debt from certain particular African countries. You know, so they're like heaping all of these allies. Okay. But not to get too much into that, I'm going to go ahead and continue on. It says, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. That mouth is the UK. All right. The mouth of the lion is the UK. And the dragon, which is the Roman Empire, the ancient Roman Empire, gave him his power. So, you know, these Edomites get all of their power from the ancient Roman Empire. They basically take the plans of ancient Rome and run those plays over again. The scriptures speak on how there's no new thing under the sun. Right? You know, and the Romans were Edomites, so these things come back. They're reincarnated. All right, so it says, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So that's just power, man. You know, the scriptures speak on when the wicked are in rulership, the people mourn, man. So the dragon is really the elite leadership of Esau, Edom, man, coming out of England. You know, the Rothschilds and etc. Okay. It's led by these elite leaders, man. All right. Verse 3, Revelation 13:3, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. All right. So Jake was ruling for about 1,000 years in Byzantium, all right, which Esau likes to call the Dark Ages, you know, the medieval times, or the Middle Ages. Middle Ages or the Dark Ages. You know, he wants to say that was a time when there was no innovation and this, that, and the third. Really, he's speaking of himself, man. You know, he's gonna act as if nobody else existed, because that's just how the devil gets down. You know, it's all about him. You know, Jake likes to say his story. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that, man. Hey, so Lord willing, I'll get back to this in a continuation. We'll give all glory, honor, praise to Yahweh, Shalom.